Good morning, and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols, and I will be your host. Thank you so much for joining me here this morning. And we've got a couple of people joining us here. We've got Jay Smooth saying, "Good morning, beautiful Black Americans." And good morning to you, sir. And good morning to all of my Americans out there. And Sassy Lady, thank you so much for reposting the stream. And Jay, thank you for joining us from YouTube, in the, I should say, the platform that I'm on. I can't always see everything that's going on or how many people might be listening live on different platforms like X or YouTube or Facebook. But I just wanted to thank everybody for joining me here this morning. It was a long weekend for me. I was like, oh my goodness, it started on Friday. I got a chance to my husband and I, we went to Kansas City, Missouri, and we went to check out the Kansas City Chiefs. So that was really cool to see them and to also see Patrick Mahomes get to play. Yeah. So they're playing some of their starters at a few of these preseason games, I guess, to get the cobwebs off and get them ready for the upcoming season. So it was a good game. We actually thought the Chiefs had won the game. We left a little bit early, found out the Bears turned around and won. I was like, okay, watch out, you guys. Don't sleep them. Don't sleep them. And then I had the privilege of attending the I don't wanna misquote it. I don't wanna misquote it, but it was the All Black National Convention, and they were actually, celebrating their, I think 100-year anniversary. I might be mistaken about that, but they were definitely, there, and I was invited by Jade Harrell to be on the panel yesterday, and I also got to be on another panel Saturday. So I had a great time just getting to talk about politics. So that was a wonderful experience to be able to share with everybody just my growth, running for president, starting the Redemption Party, and how the Redemption Party is now successfully running the town of Roseland. But here's a few pictures that was actually posted by Stephen Hunter. He was on the panel with me. So they were there Saturday and Sunday, as you can see. And there I am. Yay, my red, white, and blue. And there's Jade, there's Trey, there's Dr. Boyce Watkins, Pamela Denise. She was also there. And there's Stephen. And we have somebody else that's out here, and he's actually a council member from Memphis. I kind of hate that his picture, that it was cut off for him. He was just a really great guy. And there's Stephen again. Yay. And thank you, Stephen, for buying us lunch. I know you might not be listening. I'm sure you are not up this early. Take it, I'm sure you got to take it out. But yeah, I got a chance to take him to the airport. So it says, thank you, Dr. Boyce Watkins, for hosting me at the All Black National Convention. And thank you, Ladness Crown, for your hard work. And thank you, my sister. It's our turn RP, that's me, for the ride to the airport. And thank you, Pamela Denise Long, for unblocking me. They were hilarious. And all of you are good sisters. It was a great Sunday afternoon. And again, Stephen, thank you so much for being so gracious and buying us lunch and just, sitting, talking and laughing. And it was just a beautiful time. So if you guys do have the opportunity next year, because these are annual meetings in August, definitely, try to attend, because it is a good networking experience, but it's also a chance to really listen to panelists give their, not so much opinions, but information, and really being able to ask questions and learn a lot from the people that you're around. So if you get the chance and opportunity, like I said, check it out. But again, it was a long, wonderful weekend. I was just definitely grateful to be home. Sunday was, oh my gosh, It was a race 'cause I initially went to church, and my husband and I have been planning on, being rebaptized as a couple, right? Because, we had gotten baptized prior to getting married, but we wanted to celebrate our 7-year wedding anniversary being baptized. So our wedding anniversary is next month, September 28th. But scheduling, being baptized, our church does, baptisms kind of like maybe once a month or once every other month. And so it was really cool. So my husband got baptized first, and then he baptized me. So that was really, really cool. So shout out to Stockbridge Community Church for just, you know, helping us make that happen. And all the other individuals that got baptized yesterday, I think there were like 30 of us in total, not during my service, like, during our service was, like, 7 people, and then next service was, like, 15 people. And then the next service, it was, like, some more people that got baptized. I was like, "Wow, okay, we are doing this today." So, I'm just really grateful to everybody, and praying for everybody that got baptized, because the moment you give your life to Jesus, man, Satan is just on your heels, just like, "Eh." So, just praying for everybody to, you know, be safe out there. And I also want to send apologies out to the poor TSA people in Missouri. I was not on my best behavior, and I do apologize. I was tired. I was sleepy, but I definitely wanted to apologize. I could have been better. And I know the people at TSA, they're not trying to be mean and invasive. They're just doing their job. I don't like what they have to do at their job. I guess that's my thing. I don't like what they have to do, but they do their job, and they do it well. And so thank you for all of the work and hard work that you put into your job on a daily basis. And I'm sure, I'm not the first or the last person that's gonna have, a little bit of an attitude. And I also wanted to share a post from Dr. C. Dr. C, thank you so much. And so sometimes you guys give me comments and I don't always see them in my feed, right? So I've got two different feeds. I've got a feed that comes straight in from StreamYard, but sometimes I don't always get to see at my X account where I get comments. But Dr. C says, "Greetings, founder. It's Make It Manifest Monday." So, greetings to you, Dr. C. Yes, Manifest Monday. Yeah, and we're recapping everything that's happened during the weekend. So let's get into it. Of course, you guys know I got some videos. And so we're going to, do some reactions to these videos, but really look at, what's been happening over the weekend and what we need to catch up on and what we need to really be aware of that's going on out there in the world. So let's start off with our first video. And I want to say, um, this one is about, people are attacking the ICE agents, and I really don't know what is going to be done to really help these individuals because there's got to be some type of trigger to protect them, right? Because they're trying to do their job, but the general public, they're just people out there attacking them. And individuals in our Congress aren't making it better because they're calling them, Nazis and Gestapos and all these other things. And I'm like, you know what? Not to be funny, but if I was an ICE agent, I'd sue. I'm just saying. I would. I would have to get to a point where I would just sue these congressmen and women for defamation. But see, here's the deal. A lot of these congressmen and women, they do it when they are in session. So they try to get covered by the speech and debate clause. Yeah. They try to make it, well, it's a part of my job. It's not a part of your job to create a narrative to hurt individuals. That's that's not your job. And Dr. C, thank you so much for reposting the stream. I really appreciate it. So again, let's get into our first video.
More on all those stories ahead, but first, another disturbing attack on ICE officers. A mob assaulting 4 agents in San Francisco, even threatening their families. Christina Coleman is live in Los Angeles with more on this. Christina.
John, dozens of protesters rallied outside of San Francisco's federal court building waiting for the release of a person who DHS identified as Adrian Guerrero, a U.S. citizen who federal officials say assaulted ICE officers and threatened law enforcement by saying, quote, "I'm going to go after your family and I'm going to stab you." Guerrero, who identifies as a woman and goes by the name Angie, was charged with assault and destruction of federal property after allegedly slashing the tire of a government vehicle. DHS says it happened on Wednesday when a group of about 15 to 20 violent anti-ICE rioters in San Francisco assaulted, grabbed, punched, and pepper sprayed ICE agents who were conducting targeted immigration enforcement in San Francisco, in that city. DHS says they surrounded and assaulted 4 federal agents. DHS says, quote, "While standing at arm's length from an officer, Guerrero made repeated threats stating, quote, 'I'm going to F you up. I'm going to go after your family and I'm going to stab you.'" DHS says Guerrero was also in possession of a black knife and patterned headscarf during this incident. Guerrero was later granted bail and surrounded by supporters after being released and had this to say about the situation.
"I'm good, despite the brutality and repression that the federal government is placing on this city, my city, the city I was born in."
The attack on law enforcement in San Francisco was yet another example of violence.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait. This person threatened an ICE agent with a knife and threatened his family? And we're walking free? Okay. Okay. I just need everybody to take note that this person feels completely justified in their actions. No remorse whatsoever. Walking the planet outside. And we wonder why we have so much violence and why everything is upside down, because people know there's no consequences for their actions. Okay? It's wild. That's wild.
Against immigration agents. DHS says ICE law enforcement are now facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them as they risk their lives to arrest the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens. Despite all the violence, immigration officials continue to carry out their operations in various cities nationwide.
We're making Los Angeles and California a safer place. We're going to continue to do that. And they can take that one to the bank and cash it.
And as for that attack on ICE agents in San Francisco last week and those allegedly involved, Guerrero now faces a maximum penalty of 1 year in prison and a fine of up to $100,000. John?
I'm surprised the maximum isn't even higher. Christina Coleman. Thanks, Christina.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News.
Well, my whole thing is, okay, yeah, this person, $100,000, a year in jail. They still feel justified in their actions. That's my problem. It'd be one thing if they said they had some type of remorse, like, I get it. These people are only trying to do their job. I'm passionate about, saving people from deportation. You know what I mean? Like, okay. No, this person feels fully justified to carry around a knife, wielding it, and trying to threaten and take somebody's life. See, you shouldn't be walking the planet because you are a danger to yourself and others around you. Like, you should be locked up somewhere. For real. Like, a year in jail and $100,000 fine. You know what? 5 years federal prison. That's what it needs to be. If you attack an ICE agent just like that, there needs to be no, we got to, do it. Minimum 5 years. I'd really like 20 years, no parole, federal prison. Bye. Do it again. And you need to start making examples of these people. DHS, figure it out. Pam Bondi, figure it out before somebody really gets hurt. There needs to be a message sent. If you come in contact with Department of Homeland Security, you come in contact with these ICE agents and you try to harass them, you are going to federal prison. Period. I need y'all to grow a pair on this one. For real. Because like I said, somebody's going to get hurt and it's going to be too late. Okay? Stop that. Stop it. All right, now we're going to get into the next video. Oh my goodness. Like I said, some of these people, they're just wild. I don't know if they were raised by wolves. I'm just saying. Like, really? Where is the moral code anymore? Now, this one's going to be a little bit of a callback, dealing with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the guy that they just cannot seem to deport. Like, first of all, he was here illegally, came here illegally, had orders to leave, and we still can't get rid of this dude. I need y'all to figure this out.
It's now for the big close-up interview, border czar Tom Homan. Tom, thanks for joining us tonight. Obviously, a fast-moving case. Abrego Garcia's lawyer says the government is, quote, weaponizing the immigration system against him. My question is, what's your response to accusations that you're weaponizing the immigration system? And will, in fact, Abrego Garcia soon be heading to Uganda?
He is absolutely going to be deported from this country. He's not going to walk the streets of this nation. So he can enjoy the little time he has with his family. And for the person who says we're not going to separate family, well, his family can go with him because he's leaving. He's going to be deported. Look, he's a criminal alien. He's a member of MS-13, which is now a designated terrorist. He's a wife beater. He's a human trafficker. He's been indicted for human trafficking and alien smuggling. He's a bad person. He's not going to be here. He's been order removed twice. Order removed by 2 different federal judges. He's going to leave this country in the very near future, and his family can go with him. I can't see who was talking before the sound bites, but whoever said we're taking advantage of broken immigration system, what did they do? What did those people do the last 4 years about this broken immigration system? They let 10.5 million people cross that border. Sex trafficking women and children, all-time high. Overdose deaths of fentanyl, all-time high. Number of terrorists, all-time high. They didn't do anything to fix it. President Trump is keeping his promise to American people to enforce the law, and that's what we're doing. We're making this country safer every day by removing people like Abrego Garcia.
Hey, just to follow up, Tom, so just to be clear, is Abrego Garcia headed to Uganda? The lawyers apparently telling the AP that DHS notified on Friday at 4 p.m. that they may remove him to Uganda in 72 hours. Can you confirm that?
Look, Uganda's on the table. We'll see. I mean, you know, DOJ's, you know, our immigration attorneys and the judges, they're all in negotiations, and we'll see what happens. But Uganda's on the table. We have an agreement with them. It's on the table, absolutely.
Hey, Tom, it's Nicole. 1,700 National Guardsmen across 19 states are getting ready to help DHS crack down on crime and also the illegal immigration. ICE has already ramped up enforcement in D.C. with a new arsenal of SUVs, while the border wall is getting a new coat of paint to keep the illegals off. Now, Secretary Nome is reportedly pushing for a fleet of planes to help with these deportations. But the left is continuing to stand in the way of immigration enforcement as an Obama-appointed judge ruled against Trump's efforts to withhold funding from sanctuary jurisdictions. So here's my question for you, Tom. How are they fighting this lawfare, first of all?
Look, we got a great DOG. We got Pam Bondi head of that, and she's taking it to court. Now, these radical judges are going to continue to stop or try to stop President Trump from, you know, doing what he promised American people, making this country safe again, removing, you know, the public safety threats, the national security threats who are illegally in the United States. They're not going to stop us from doing this. They're going to put roadblocks up. We're going to take them to court. We'll appeal the decisions, and we'll win the decisions because we are enforcing the law. That's what the other side isn't talking about. We're not making this up. We're enforcing the laws enacted by Congress. ICE is out there every day enforcing the laws enacted by Congress, using the money that Congress gave them to do this, upholding the oaths they took. So we're going to continue doing this, and then President Trump's going to he's going to succeed. We're going to have the safest nation we've ever seen by the time his presidency ends. We are arresting thousands of public safety threats and national security threats every week across this country, and by spreading the National Guard, helping DHS on the streets, it's going to happen that much quicker.
Real quick, Tom, the question I have for you, though, is we're talking about the paint job for the border wall. We're talking about our new fleet of airplanes, but the border control, obviously all the progress is doing incredible things. We're at an all-time low of border crossings, but what are we going to do to expand support the existing Border Patrol agents to the next administration? Because while border crossings may be down right now under Trump, we need to make sure that we have a lasting Border Patrol and immigration policy for the next time someone else is in the White House.
And that's exactly why President Trump pressed Congress very hard, along with myself and others like Steve Miller, to pass the big, beautiful bill. There's a lot of money in that to continue building that wall, continue building infrastructure, which includes technology within that wall, which includes the technology within the port of entries. So, legal traffic can come through the port of entries quicker and more efficient while we're still catching the majority of the drugs, and the end game is to catch all the drugs. So all the technology and the big, beautiful bill is going to stay. We're building the infrastructure that's going to last for decades. And we're also not only hiring 10,000 ICE officers, we're hiring more Border Patrol agents. So together with the new agents on the ground, the new technology, the new border barriers, we have a sustained presence on the border that's going to last for decades.
Tom, it's Lisa Booth. It's great to see you. I want to get your take on this, sir. So a transgender anti-ICE rioter was arrested on Wednesday in San Francisco and charged with assault and destruction of federal property. This individual allegedly slashed the tires of government vehicles with a knife and threatened ICE agents, reportedly telling one, quote, "I'm going to F you up after I go after your family, and I'm going to stab you." This individual is already back on the streets. Tom, how dangerous is it to be an ICE agent in today's America?
Well, look, it's always been dangerous to be an ICE agent. I mean, I was one for many years. But, with all the hateful rhetoric right now, the attacks on ICE is up over 1,000%. And a lot of the hateful rhetoric from members of Congress, again, members of Congress who wrote a law that needs to be enforced. So, again, if you don't like what ICE is doing, go protest Congress. We're not making this up. We're enforcing laws enacted by Congress that Congress funds us to enforce. We're out there enforcing immigration orders by federal judges. So ICE is out there looking for public safety threats and national security threats. I looked at the numbers just this morning. 70% of everybody we're arresting is a criminal. Who's the other 30%? They're gang members, may not have a criminal history. They're national security threats. Most of them don't have a criminal history because they lay low waiting to do the bad deed. And the rest of them are final orders. These are people who had due process at great taxpayer expense. A federal judge said you must leave, and they became a fugitive. We're going to find them. We're going to remove them. We're going to send a message to the whole world. It's not okay to enter this country illegally. It's a crime. It's certainly not okay to ignore a federal judge's order to leave. Because the message we're not going to send to the whole world is, enter the country illegally, don't worry about it, even though it's a crime. Show up in court or don't show up in court, get a final order, don't worry about it. No one's looking for you. No. The reason we're out there so hard right now, because we're sending the whole world a notice that there are consequences. That's part of the reason why we have the most secure border in the nation's history now. The Border Patrol is doing a great job. The infrastructure is great. But it's also the consequences of those who got by, sending them home. That also makes our border more secure.
Tom, real quick, when someone like Governor Tim Walz, calls ICE the Gestapo, what does he really want to happen to them?
It's a ridiculous statement for anybody that tried to run for an office in the White House. It's ridiculous. What I want to tell him and the rest of them, you're not going to stop us. What happened in San Francisco, you're not going to stop us. You can come out and protest all you want, but if you cross the line, you're going to be prosecuted. I looked at the numbers on Thursday. The numbers of criminal prosecutions for those who impede and interfere are already double of any previous year. And I think we're probably going to triple it by the end of the fiscal year, which ends in another 6 weeks. So you're not going to stop us. We're going to continue doing what the American people voted President Trump in office to do. I wake up every morning proud to work for the greatest president of my lifetime. President Trump proves to the American people every single day why he's the greatest president. Look what he's done to Washington, D.C. Look at the crime dropping in Washington, D.C. He's going to make that the beacon for the entire world. The capital of the strongest and the most beautiful country in the world should be a beacon for everybody. So we're going to make D.C. safe again. We're already doing it. And President Trump's going to take that message across the country. He's going to make America safe again, one illegal alien at a time, one city at a time, one state at a time.
Tom, Gianno Caldwell here. Thank you for keeping us all safe. An Obama-appointed judge is ruling that Alligator Alcatraz cannot add new illegals and must dismantle the facility within 60 days. But Florida has a backup plan, opening another detention center called Deportation Depot. This comes as a surge of new detention facilities in other states, such as Speedway Slammer in Indiana and Cornhusker Clinker in Nebraska. So my question is, Tom, are you concerned about the resistance shutting down other detention facilities for illegals across the country?
Well, I think I appreciate the governor stepping up. We need those beds. I think they're more the soft side facilities, more transition beds. I personally think we need more brick and mortar infrastructure. That's, again, it's going to last for decades. They can't be easily torn down. But I appreciate these governors coming and putting up these temporary structures. Let me tell you something about Alligator Alley. I was there. I mean, I was there because I kept getting asked questions about the inhumane conditions down there. I went there and looked at for myself. I walked through the housing areas. I walked through the medical. I talked to the nurses in the medical. I went to the cafeteria and looked at the food they're preparing from every day. And I talked to the people who get the books on, you know, the pastors coming in and priests coming in and giving religious meetings to the illegal aliens. Because I was told that wasn't happening. I went down there and I saw a facility that was well built, that was well maintained, very clean, and a high detention standard. So this judge who made this ruling, did they go and look at the facility? They actually walk through and talk to the personnel there? Did he look at there is no danger to the environment because all the waste, all the garbage is removed out of that area every single day? Nothing's dumped there. And they're existing on an airfield that was already built. The concrete was already there. And they're putting up temporary facilities around that. I went there. I didn't see a single problem with it. And I think this judge made a decision without knowing all the facts. I think in the long run, they'll win. They'll have to appeal it. But I went to that facility. I didn't see a single thing wrong with the facility.
Border Czar Tom Homan, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for your service, and we wish you well.
Thanks, Griff.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah. You know, I'm really grateful for Tom Homan and his leadership. But this is insane. You got people attacking ICE agents. Like, what is wrong with you? I mean, really, what is wrong with you? And Sean, AI filmmaker, thank you so much for reposting the stream. So I wanted to share a little bit about this Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Okay. In the Black community, I mean, they just lock you up. You ain't getting out and nobody fighting for you. I mean, they asked for Larry Hoover, to give him clemency a few months back because he's so elderly, and just to kind of spend some time with his family. And because there are a lot of people that feel that he was illegally incarcerated, like he was under that COINTELPRO thing, but at the same time, he did admit, he goes, there were some things that he did do wrong. But while he was in custody, right, he decided to turn his life around. And even Mark Carter admitted he was inspired by Mr. Hoover to do better. But Mr. Hoover is still incarcerated. But we got people threatening ICE agents just walking the street. Really? And, Tom Homan said, yeah, the number of people that have, been incarcerated for threatening ICE agents, yeah, it's gone up. I'm like, first of all, they shouldn't be threatening ICE agents. Like, what are we doing? And why aren't these people sitting in prison somewhere? Prison, not jail, prison, federal prison, by the way. Like, that's where you need to be, period. Lunge at an officer, cuss out an officer, throw things at him, jump on the car. You got one-way ticket to federal prison, period. Done. Done. And you need to start making examples of these people and just ruining their lives, yes, with federal prison time. Because you have to protect these agents that are out there before someone really gets hurt. And we shouldn't be sitting back waiting like, uh-oh, when are we going to see the headline? Because at that point, are we using this as a psyop? I mean, I'm just going to constantly question the news at every point and turn. And only facts and truths. Thank you for reposting the stream. So I found this article on Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Oh, Black Empower, thank you for reposting the stream too. It informed he may be sent to Uganda after denying a plea deal. Now, he's been deported. He came here illegally. He was deported, came back. They tried to deport him to his home of origin, which is El Salvador, and, found an attorney. They're like, "No, you did this wrong. You got to bring him back, blah, blah, blah." So the, Trump administration capitulated, brought him back. And now we're still paying for this dude. We're paying for this. He ain't got no money. We're paying for this. His meals, his stay, everything. I want this person off the soil. So immediately following his release from a Tennessee jail, Immigration and Customs Enforcement notified Kilmar Abrego Garcia's lawyers that he may be deported to Uganda. So I just have no sympathy for this situation. So the details. The deportation notice came after Abrego Garcia's lawyers reportedly declined a plea deal. The deal would have him plead guilty to federal human smuggling charges, which he's guilty of, remain in jail, and then be deported to Costa Rica, which previously agreed to accept him. His lawyers filed a motion to dismiss the charges, arguing the government's threat of deportation to Uganda is a retaliatory act meant to coerce him into taking the plea deal. So Monday's deadline. And this is what defense attorneys do. I mean, it's their job. Here's the deal. They know that their client is guilty. They know that their client may go to jail. Their job is to make sure that their client doesn't go to jail for any more time than they need to, if that makes any sense. It's like, okay, if they're being sentenced to 10 years, your defense attorney tries to get you maybe 5 to 8 years, right? That's the job of a defense attorney. So I want you guys getting offended by like, these attorneys are crazy. No, they're just doing their job as a defense attorney. That's what they do. So Monday's deadline. Abrego Garcia's lawyer said on Friday, the government informed Mr. Abrego that he has until first thing Monday morning, which would be today, precisely when he must report to ICE's Baltimore field office to accept a plea in exchange for deportation to Costa Rica, or else that offer will be off the table forever. So the Associated Press that leans left reported that they declined to say whether he is considering the offer. So for context, Abrego Garcia, a Salvadorian national, was deported to El Salvador in March despite a 2019 court order protecting him from being sent there. We're protecting illegal aliens, by the way, in all this. So the Trump administration later said his deportation arose from an administrative error. After the legal battle, he was returned to the U.S. in June and charged with human smuggling. Earlier this week, Uganda and the U.S. reached a deal for Uganda to receive third-party nationals not granted asylum, though Uganda said it would not accept those with criminal records. And see, he has a criminal record. Y'all have criminal records. They're here illegally, so I'm not sure what that means, but I guess they're talking above and beyond just crossing the border illegally. So past media splits, Abrego Garcia's story has sparked very divided coverage this year, with outlets across the spectrum framing him very differently, from a Maryland man to an illegal immigrant. He's an illegal immigrant, okay, period, the end. The Associated Press, this is how the media covered it. Associated Press highlighted the legal arguments of Abrego Garcia's attorneys, including their claims of vindictive and selective prosecution, but did not include comments from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Fox News on the right referred to Abrego Garcia as an illegal immigrant and included comments from Noem, who called him a monster and vowed to not stop fighting till his Salvadorian man faces justice and is out of our country. Fox did not mention the plea deal or statements from his lawyers. Yeah, I mean, this is very dividing, but again, it's interesting how we're bringing this guy up the way we're bringing him up, right? And I'm gonna always look at the fate model, which is focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. Because right now, it is definitely, again, creating a tribal um, environment with people because people are emotional about this. As you can see, the gentleman that it came out attacking the ICE officers in San Francisco, they're definitely subject to this fate model, right? So we have to be mindful of what we see and how we're seeing it. And so I wanted to take a look at the ICE tracker. I had brought this up, maybe a couple weeks ago. And right now, as it says, an estimated undocumented immigrants is over 11 million. So we've got 11,700,000 that are undocumented. To date, um, the total deportations are 135,000. Daily deportations, 105. Total arrest, 563,059. Daily arrest, 161. Total deportations, 268,915. And daily detentions, I'm sorry. Yeah, total detentions and daily detentions, 461. And as you can see, the number just went up from 460 to 461. So this is a tracker. It's doing its best to give real-time information. It's deportationtracker.live if you ever want to check it out. And it gives a breakdown of immigration by region of who's come here of that 11 million and how it's broken down. So the majority, it says, is Mexico with over 4 million, Central America, 2,100,000, the Caribbean, 1 million, South America, 730,000. And then other regions, you've got Asia at 1.7 million, Europe, 500,000, Africa, 380,000, Canada, 200,000, Middle East, 180,000, Oceania, 80,000. Yeah. So those are the numbers. We'll definitely continue to track what's going on. This is the border that a lot of people are coming up through. We've got California over here, Arizona, New Mexico, and then Texas with all of Mexico there. And so they're tracking the new border wall, and then the blue is the existing border wall. So they still have to get this part done down here, but they're definitely making progress. And then I just had some questions of AI because I was like, what is going on with this Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy? And it's very interesting to see the feedback from AI because AI is very more so concerned for this person. So it said Abrego Garcia entered the United States illegally in 2011, right? In 2019, he was questioned by police regarding alleged ties to MS-13 gang based on information from a confidential informant, though he had never been charged with a crime. That same year, he filed for asylum, which led to an immigration judge granting him withholding of removal status, preventing his deportation to El Salvador due to fears of persecution from a gang there. And I'm like, okay, you're a part of MS-13, allegedly, and you're afraid to go back to the gang? Okay. None of like, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. And it says, despite this protection, Abrego Garcia was deported to El Salvador. His attorneys and advocates maintain he was not a gang member. It's kind of tattooed on him, allegedly. With his lawyer stating the government had absolutely no evidence that Kilmar is not and has never been a gang member. However, the Department of Homeland Security asserted he was a member of MS-13 with a history involving trafficking and encounters with law enforcement, calling him a very dangerous person. So after his deportation, Abrego Garcia was reportedly taken into custody and faced human smuggling charges. He was released from a Putnam County jail in Tennessee in August 22 of 2025 while awaiting those charges. At that time, there were also claims that ICE was threatening to deport him to Uganda, which his lawyers described as coercion. As of late August 2025, he remains under legal proceedings related to these charges. Now, I'm just going to take us down to the last part because I was really trying to just figure something out. I'm like, what? Why? Why is he here? What are we doing? And, was there any other orders? Because I had pulled some other information up and I thought he had been deported prior to that. So it says, no, there is no publicly available evidence or reporting indicating that Kilmore Abrego Garcia was issued a deportation order in 2016. But based on available information from credible news sources and legal records as of 2025, Kilmore Abrego Garcia entered the United States illegally in 2011. So he was 15 in 2011. So we're looking at like 14 years ago. He was not placed into formal removal proceedings immediately, and no final deportation order has been documented prior to 2019. Okay. So 8 years would have made him 23 years old. They're saying he was fearful of gang activity in El Salvador, and he was an asylum seeker. But if you were here illegally at 15, what is the fear of the gang thing? You know what I mean? Like the timeline's not matching up. The story's not matching up. Somebody's lying. Okay. So it says in 2019, so we're looking at 8 years. So he's roughly 23 years old at this time. After being questioned by police over alleged MS-13 ties, though never criminally charged, he applied for asylum. Why would you apply for asylum if you're already here illegally? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? You were here illegally. Were you just going back and forth between here and El Salvador? Nobody's answering that question. I'm just saying I'm finding holes in the story, and it's weird. So the same year, an immigration judge granted him withholding of removal, which legally barred his deportation to El Salvador due to fear of persecution. From who? From who? You've been over here since you were 15. What were you involved in? What? In 2019, you were 23 years old. What were you doing? If you were here illegally, what were you doing? Doesn't make sense. Despite this protection, he was wrongfully deported to El Salvador March 2025 in violation of the 2019 order. Okay, so you're 23 years old. You're claiming asylum, but you're here illegally. You've been here illegally for 8 years. Never talks about you going back to El Salvador. You were here. You're not in fear of being here because you were here. How are you seeking asylum if you were here? That's my question. So he was returned to the U.S. in June 2025 following Supreme Court intervention. The absence of any mention of the 2016 removal order in court filings, ICE notifications, or media reports, especially given the intense scrutiny of his case, strongly suggests that no formal deportation was issued in 2016. So there's nothing formal in 2016. Okay, great. He would have been 20 years old. So if such an order existed, it would likely have been enforced in the context of his immigration history or used by DHS to justify removal. Instead, the legal timeline centers on 2019 withholding of removal as the key immigration decision prior to the 25 deportation events. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. If he was here, why was he seeking asylum? He had to be here. He was here at 15 years old. Never talks about him going back to El Salvador and then being back here in 2019. So in that 8-year period, where was he? Was he here or was he there? What are we doing? What are we doing? So therefore, as a current public records, there's no known thing of 2016. I was like, okay, so how was he wrongfully deported if he was here illegally? That's what I'm trying to get to. I'm like, he was already here illegally. How was he wrongfully deported? So Kilmar Abrego Garcia was considered to be in the U.S. illegally after entering without authorization, 2011. Okay, he's 15 years old. However, his deportation in March 2025 was ruled wrongful, not because of his immigration status, but because it violated a binding legal protection granted by a U.S. immigration court. So at the age of 23, somebody said, okay, you're going to be protected, even though you're here illegally. I know it makes my head hurt too. So, the withholding removal, illegal protection. In 2019, after Abrego Garcia applied for asylum, an immigration judge granted him withholding of removal to El Salvador. This is a form of relief under U.S. immigration law that applies when someone can prove they would face persecution or torture if returned to their home country, often due to gang violence, political opinion, or membership in a social group. This protection prohibits the U.S. government from deporting him to El Salvador. Unlike full asylum, withholding of removal does not lead to green card or citizenship, does not allow travel abroad, but does legally block deportation to the country where harm is likely. So while Abrego Garcia remained in the U.S. without legal status, he had a court-ordered protection preventing his return to El Salvador. Why the deportation was wrongful. Despite the court order, ICE deported him to El Salvador in March 2025. This was deemed unlawful because it violated the immigration judge's order. It bypassed due process of judicial authority. Federal courts later confirmed the removal was improper. Okay. As a result, advocates and lawyers filed emergency actions. The U.S. Supreme Court intervened, ordering the government to bring him back to the United States. He was returned in June 2025, a rare reversal of deportation. So, key point, being here illegally may not equal, and that's what that little slash to the equal sign, deportable to any country. Even individuals without legal status have legal rights under U.S. international law. What? Yes, I read that to y'all. Chaps my hide. Just saying. So the U.S. is a party to the UN Convention Against Torture, which is CAT. Which prohibits returning anyone to a country where they face torture or persecution. Withholding of removal is a mandatory protection when the standard is met. ICE cannot override a judge's withholding order, even for someone who entered illegally. So even though this guy's a straight up criminal, we've got laws protecting criminals, y'all. We are an upside down town. I'm sorry. I am sorry. This is disgusting. And any judges or lawyers that agree with this, you're disgusting. I'm just going to, with the big D, disgusting. We are either a nation of laws or we are not. And yes, I know what I'm reading you guys is completely confusing, but you need to know just how disgraceful our legal system has become. It's a disgrace. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's a disgrace. Oh, Black Flag, thank you so much for reposting the stream. And he says, wishing Black America a bright and powerful day ahead. Thank you so much for that. Because, I was in my feelings just a second ago. Like, whoo. So after his return, Abrego Garcia was charged with human smuggling related to a 2022 incident. So he's not like just any criminal. He's like a super criminal, right? And they're still protecting this person. And has pleaded not guilty. Okay. Even though they found the people you were smuggling in your car. Okay. Allegedly. So ICE now says it may try to deport him to a third country, such as Uganda or Costa Rica, if he accepts a plea deal, but he cannot legally be sent to El Salvador under the 2019 order. So even though El Salvador is his country of origin, because he did the whole asylum thing and they did the withholding order and all that stuff, they're still protecting an illegal criminal. I need this to make sense. We don't even protect citizens to this degree that were born on the soil. We don't. We don't. We will throw you in a pit in a dark place somewhere and forget about you. But these illegal criminals, just throwing money after money, just protection after protection. Oh, we have to protect them. No, you don't. Oh, I'm telling you, President Trump's better than me. He's better than me. I'd have had people thrown in jail. And wouldn't have cared. He's going back to El Salvador to say something. You're in violation of order. Say something, and I will remove you from the bench and disbar you. Say something again. That's me, though. Like I said, he's better than me. He's better than me. So, summary. Even though Abrego Garcia entered the U.S. illegally, his deportation to El Salvador in 2025 was wrongful because it violated a court-ordered protection against removal to a country where he faced life-threatening danger. We don't know that. He was going to prison. He wasn't going to be put into the general public. Yeah. What was so life-threatening? What was he a part of? He entered the country illegally at the age of 15 and then somehow got asylum as protection. What? Stop. They're just doing this stuff without any investigation at all. It's crazy. So U.S. law protects certain non-citizens from deportation, regardless of their entry status, when their lives or safety are at risk. Our lives and safety are at risk. This guy is a well-known criminal. He's a felon. He is contributing nothing good to this country. Not a thing. He needs to be up off the soil today. And as a citizen of this country, I'm demanding it. And AB 2000 says, why did they allow him to apply in the first place? Exactly. And he says they protect Black American men like this. Oh, they don't. Yeah, they don't. They do not. This is exactly. They take our rights here when we commit crimes. Absolutely. We have nowhere to go. Okay? Not a place. But we're protecting this illegal criminal. I mean, just like I said, it chaps my hide because I know that there are people here trying, and they can't get a leg up. They can't get a start. And so, unfortunately, they do resort to crime as the last ditch effort to put food on the table. But we shouldn't have to do that. We really shouldn't. We really need to focus on making sure our people are educated, because the educated people don't need to commit crime. But then the sad part about it is even some of the educated people do still commit crimes. It's called white collar crime because they're like, oh, I can just, circumvent the system and get and take what I want. And we need to stop tolerating crime. That's my opinion. And people need to start suffering consequences, because when they do, that's going to deter other people from committing crime. Just saying. And Dr. C's, that's ridiculous, but may be a result of the application of laws to different people. Yeah, because he was already here illegally at the age of 15. So in 2019, he was 23 years old. So we're 8 years later, and they basically give him protection under asylum. I'm like, what happened in that 8 years? If you were here in the United States, how are you applying for asylum and you're here illegally? Straight up. You're here legally at 15. 8 years later, you're protected. It wasn't like in 2012 he was protected. It was 8 years later. Like, what is going on? And that was under the Trump administration. That wasn't even under the Biden administration. So we got to look at timelines for real. What was going on with these immigration judges. See, they really have not had their feet held to the fire. I need a full audit. I want a full audit of every immigration judge, top to bottom. I mean, a proctoral exam needs to be done on these people and what they're involved in, the kickbacks that they're getting, because I know they are. I know they are. How are you going to write somebody in asylum paperwork and they were here? They weren't in El Salvador. They were here. And it was granted 8 years later. I could see 2 years, 3 years, maybe 8. Stop that. Stop it. Stop it. And then in the 14-year mark, it's like, oh, no, you can't touch them. What? What were you doing? See, and this is all the setup that goes back to the replacement migration, which is not a theory. They are actually doing it. Okay? It's happening. It's totally happening. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get into more of the Monday recap because, yeah, the news is wild, super wild right now. So I'll see you guys on the other side.
We've unified our end-to-end encrypted services to make them easier to use together, because privacy should be the default for everyone. With the new Proton ecosystem, you can add events to Proton Calendar automatically when you accept an invitation. Easily share large files with a secure Proton Drive link. Send secure Proton Drive links privately with Proton Mail.
And we are back. Thank you so much for joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern. My name is Dr. Ashaki Noni Nichols. And we have another comment from Dr. C. She says, yes, a forensic audit. It needs to happen with all of these judges. You know, even though I don't know why these federal judges think they can't be touched. You know, in the video you heard, they're just like, yeah, 6 months, we want you to tear down this deportation center. Have you lost your mind? You were already told you can't interfere with what the Trump administration is doing. Y'all were already sanctioned and told, knock it off. And you're still trying to do it? Like, stop trying to tell the president how to do his job. He's doing his job, and it's just proving every day more and more you're advocating for illegal activity and your judges. Like, I need some people to get disbarred. Okay. I need people to be removed and fired forever and sent to prison. Not just any prison, federal prison. Like, done. You are supporting illegal activity. You are out of line as a judge. I just need to see it happen. But again, things like this aren't happening. So people think they can just, be criminals with impunity out in everybody's face. Just out there. It's crazy. Insane. I know I've been kind of debating on what I want to cover next, but I think we're going to go to Boston. Let's check out Boston and the craziness with Mayor Rule. This is wild. This is wild what she's doing, y'all, but I got to check it out.
Boston as the safest large city in the country, but do residents really feel that way?
Mayor Wu is always saying we're the safest major city in America.
Not at all.
Tell me why you don't think so.
Here's what we know. There have been 23 homicides in the city so far this year. That's compared to 12 the previous year in the same time frame.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. Know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, today we're back with your girl, Mayor Michelle Wu of the great city of Boston. Y'all know we're talking about her because she is front and center as it relates to the big debate, the great divide between sanctuary cities and cities that will help the federal government as it relates to immigration enforcement. Now, y'all, you may know that Wu and her city, Boston, have told the federal government to get lost, that they are not going to help with immigration enforcement. And this is setting up the biggest of showdowns because now the federal government says they're going to flood the zone. They're going to send so many ICE agents to Boston that everywhere you go, they're going to cause a cold snap in the middle of summer with so much ICE that they're going to send to Boston. And we're going to see how Wu is going to respond. Now, one of the biggest things that Wu says is that Boston is the safest big city in the United States. But as you're going to see in a news report that we're going to cover here shortly, Boston residents, at least some of them, would take contention with that. They would say, no, we don't feel like it's the safest big city. And also, Boston's crime statistics are actually increasing. So, you have to wonder, maybe Donald Trump might think about sending the National Guard over there. So what we're going to do here, y'all, we're going to take a look at how ICE is about to flood the zone in Boston, and also how her claims about Boston being the safest big city may not pan out. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money. I'm not going to make this a long to $100,000 or more in partners at Augusta Precious Metals.
Policies, basically business as usual. Now, ICE agents, and this threat is that they would come and flood Boston with agents. Remember the cell video of a New Bedford in mid-April? It horrified a couple and the community as a man thought to be an ICE agent breaks a window to take a man into custody.
Now, here Battenfield, writing for the Boston Herald, says,
now, the only reason that window was broken out is because they kept defying an order to get out of the car. Okay, ICE knew who this person was, went to get them. They just happened to be in their car. They wouldn't get out of the car. And so that was the next move. If you're not going to get out, we're going to bust the windows in your car and make you get out. Period. But it's like, oh, we're supposed to feel sympathetic. I don't feel sympathetic for you if you don't get up off the soil. Get out. Get out. If you are here illegally, get out. We're tired. Okay, I've got, you know what? I've got illegal immigrant fatigue. Yep, that's right. I said it. I'm fatigued with this criminal behavior. I'm very fatigued with these lawyers and judges protecting criminals. I am fatigued with Congress protecting criminal behavior. I'm over it. All y'all need to be in prison. All of you. Like I said, Trump is better than me. He is. And AB was just commenting on the previous video. He says, yep, a violation of the equal protection. Yeah. They're just letting people get away with nonsense. And it's just, how should I say, it's not disheartening. It's crazy because they want everybody else to be like 1,000% above board. It's like the citizens of this country, we're almost being looked at as the criminals, and we haven't done anything. I'm like, if you don't stop looking at me cross-eyed, I haven't done anything. But you're allowing all of these other people to be here illegally, and you want me to just stand by and applaud like, oh, yay, they're here. No, get out. Get out. Yep, I am that person. Look, I have sent receipts to ICE. Yes, me. I got a couple more people to report. Yeah. Over the weekend, I was actually taking an Uber, and our driver, I don't even think he was our real driver. I think he was using somebody else's profile. The car was all banged up. Had recently been in an accident, and they were trying to cover it up with duct tape. He spoke no English, you guys. None. Luckily, my husband knows enough Spanish that he could communicate with him because, being a soldier, my husband's been to Panama and different countries, and so he speaks a few different languages, at least to have conversation. And I was just angry. I'm supposed to be sitting there having fun with my husband. I'm like, baby, don't get in your feel like, it's like having this whole talk because I was just in a rage. It's like, I know you're here illegally. I know you are. Because anybody that's coming here legally has to at least be able to speak the language, especially when they're driving. They need to be able to communicate with their passengers if they're driving any type of taxi. And he was on his phone. Like, there were just so many things bad about it. So many things, So I got to, deal with that craziness. And Unc says, you almost have to question the Democrats' love for these criminals based on what uh, they did have planned for these criminals to do on our American soil. Absolutely. Because just think, what if Trump didn't shut a lot of this down? Where would we be right now? Because they were already getting loans, cars, other housing. We know in Chicago, they just opened up the floodgates to them to just renovate housing that had been boarded up and got squatters. Just the nonsense that's been happening. It's been crazy. And Black Empower says, how many videos have we seen of cops breaking Black Americans' vehicle windows for minor traffic violations? Crickets from the Democrats. But now, since it's ICE going after illegals, it's outrageous. Exactly. You definitely you definitely hit that one. I was like, look, let one of us not, abide by an order, a mandated order. I mean, I'm not saying that one Black woman was right when she was asked to get out of the car, but he snatched her out the car. Period. Opened her door and snatched her out the car. She's not here illegally. She's a legal citizen. But you will kid glove these people that don't even belong here. Really? Yeah, that mindset needs to change. I need everybody deported that don't belong here. If you don't leave. Because see, my whole thing is, if you haven't left by now, you shouldn't be allowed to come back. You're here, and if you've been here 20, 30 years illegally, you definitely shouldn't be here. You're just a criminal all the way around. I can't even look at you. I can't look at you. Get off the soil. I'm over it. Let's finish the video.
Will Bostonians be holding the bag for Michelle Wu's grandstanding? Will Boston residents be left holding the bag for Michelle Wu's political grandstanding? That's a real question. Now that the Boston mayor has put federal funding at risk in her fight with the Trump administration over the city's sanctuary status. Wu may be benefiting politically in her re-election campaign, but Boston residents could be reaching for their pockets again to pay for more tax increases if President Donald Trump follows through on his promises to...
Okay, I gotta pause again. I'm sorry. Okay, so you just heard how he was saying, the federal dollars. The federal dollars. Now, I was on a panel and somebody was like, no, only 1% of, federal money comes down to the local level, right? And I'm like, okay, it's only 1%. But even in that, it's still federal money. And that money, federal, is not supposed to be used for people that are here illegally. But I'm thinking, but this is my, I'll put my tinfoil hat on and say allegedly. I really think a lot of the federal dollars that are being used are by these NGOs, right? Because they get the grants and all these other things, and they're funneling and using that money for these illegals. But Trump has put a stop to a lot of that, right? With the U.S. aid, he's stopped that. He's stopped a lot of these other DEI programs. So what used to be isn't happening. And mayors like Mayor Wu are like, oops. Yeah, we're not getting any funding. As you saw in the other video, judges are trying to force the Trump administration to send money to these sanctuary states and cities, and the trouble is, no. We ain't sending them a dime. And guess what? They don't have to, because they are in violation of federal law. They're not supposed to be using any of our federal dollars on these people ever. Ever. Even at the state level, they're still in violation of the law. It's crazy. It's insane. And Trump, Unc says, that's why I've asked the question when it comes to the following rules, laws, and regulations, who are the fools, Americans or legal criminals? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is insane. And we have people in our justice system that are flat out criminals. Flat out criminals. Y'all are it's, I was having an interesting conversation because, met some people at the conference, and I said, if you visualize our government as pimps and prostitutes, and that switch will go off and you'll be like, yeah, that is the relationship. Yes, that is the relationship. They are the pimps and we are the prostitutes. And some of them themselves are prostitutes as well, because they prostitute themselves up, up the chain, we'll say. But yeah, that's the mindset. And we need to get out of that. And we need to stop accepting criminal behavior as normal and as okay, because it's not okay.
Freeze the funding spigot. It's a steep price for her grandstanding. She has put Bostonians at risk from the federal cuts to education, healthcare, social services, and public safety because she picked a fight for total political purposes. And Wu doesn't seem willing to cut city government at all to prevent more tax hikes, judging by her recent budgets. Wu has a poor relationship with Beacon Hill leadership, so don't look for Democratic lawmakers to bail her out with additional funding to make up for the cuts. Now, this is funding. Battenfield's talking about funding, but what about the zone that's going to be flooded due to Wu's decisions?
Now, conservative podcast host Howie Carr, yesterday speaking to the acting ICE director, talks about ICE flooding Boston again. It's ramping up the war of words.
Are you going to surge the city of Boston and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts like the District of Columbia is being surged?
We're definitely going to, as you've heard the saying, flood the zone, especially in sanctuary jurisdictions. And obviously, Boston and Massachusetts decided to stay, that they wanted to stay sanctuary.
Now, as we previewed earlier, many Boston residents say, hey, I don't feel like I live in the safest big city in the country. In fact, our violence and murder rate is going up. So what's up with that, Mayor Wu?
Here at 5:30, one night in Dorchester is really raising some questions about Boston's status as one of the country's safest cities. Thanks for staying with us. I'm David Wade.
And I'm Courtney Cole. Now, police had a pretty busy night, David, including calls for 4 shootings within just 2 hours. The mayor touts Boston as the safest large city in the country, but do residents really feel that way? WBZ's Louisa Moeller went to find out.
Mayor Wu is always saying we're the safest major city in America.
Not at all.
Tell me why you don't think so.
Today, I had a conversation about safety.
There's no accountability. No one's held accountable for their actions. You can't even go in a store without seeing someone shoplift in front of you. There's kids walking around with guns that are getting arrested, and they're put back on the street the next day.
And learned one's own security is in the eye of the beholder.
Since I came here, I realized the police is doing their best.
The conversation kick-started by multiple violent incidents in Boston over the last 24 hours. 4 different reports of people shot just in Dorchester and 2 reports of stabbings, one as recently as 10:19 this morning on Dacia Street. Our camera capturing a suspect's arrest in that stabbing. Karamba Diallo lives just steps away on Dacia, and yet he says the city's circumstances have improved.
Because before in Dorchester, it was really difficult to live, but now it's completely the opposite.
But another man who lives blocks from Berry Park, where an adult man was found with a gunshot wound after crashing his dirt bike last night, told a different story.
Residents here aren't safe that live in high crime areas such as down the street by the church.
Here's what we know. There have been 23 homicides in the city so far this year. That's compared to 12 the previous year in the same time frame. And these numbers pale compared to the annual 100 plus homicides Bostonians coped with in the 90s.
And of course, because Wu is a politician before all else, she'll give you the politician the answer and try to spin things in whichever way looks best for her and her administration.
We know how to take care of our neighbors here in Boston without the interference, coercion, intimidation, bullying, or threats from the federal government.
So y'all, I think that Michelle Wu's policies are making Boston less safe. I understand that Boston is a sanctuary city. As Chicago would say, it's a welcoming city. And you know what? I might have my own personal opinion about that, but let's set that aside for a moment. The correct thing to do is to seek common ground with the federal government. In my opinion, not to be defiant. Where can we work together? Can we first start on where we can both agree that we can work together? And while we're working together on those things, let's try to work out the other things where we don't see eye to eye. The problem is that is not politically advantageous for Michelle Wu or practically any Democrat, because they have based their entire platform now on Donald Trump say this, so we're going to say that. Donald Trump say sky blue, we're going to say sky not blue. Donald Trump say grass green, we're going to say grass not green. They just can't agree with him on anything, no matter how common sense, no matter how.
And I wanted to just interject really here. Sassy Lady says, Mayor Wu, shame on you telling lies. Yeah. Because like you said, she's got to give the political answer, you know. And it can happen that way. Like somebody living in one area, they turn a corner and it's like, oh, it's not as bad over here. You just turn the corner. Now that gentleman speaking, obviously he's not from here, right? And if he got here, I hope he is here legally, right? I hope he has, at least under a visa or whatever. I'm hoping that he's here legally. But the guy that got arrested, I'm pretty sure he's not here legally. Pretty sure. Yeah. Sad. It's a sad situation. Why are we wielding knives? We don't do that here. Like, what is that about? People coming here from other countries with machetes and what is wrong with y'all? First of all, what issue do you have with people that are even coming here? Like, y'all supposed to be at least amongst yourselves have some civility. Like, it's just really sad.
How reasonable. And in fact, they wouldn't even agree that anything he says is common sense or reasonable. So therefore, Mayor Wu has to take a stupid opinion, a stupid position, as opposed to first seeking common ground and trying to work out the rest later. So that's the way I see it, y'all. But I'd like to know your comments. Let me know down below. Do you think that Mayor Wu is making Boston less safe with these policies, or do you think no, Mayor Wu, she's doing her thing, she's doing everything right, or she's doing mostly everything right, and what she's doing is working? Let me know down below. But before you do, y'all, please stop, hit the share button, share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for? Join the 180,000 people who have already touched the subscribe button, and touch it yourself. Touch it. And if you are a person with a retirement.
Yeah, and that's he is paralegal. I want to say the Paralegal Washington. Let me give him his props. Paralegal Institute of Washington. I really enjoy his video. He's funny, but he always makes some great points. And so the next one that I wanted to get into was the CDL driver. We haven't heard a lot about him. Y'all are going to be amazed to see what is happening with this.
3 people is in a Florida jail will stay there after a judge denied his bond just hours ago. The case prompted the White House to act after the suspect obtained his license despite failing English and road sign tests.
There's actually an online petition, people. No joke. Let's just take a look at it and read it and see exactly what it says. It says, we, the undersigned, urge Governor Ron DeSantis and the Florida Board of Executive Clemency to re-examine and reduce the sentence for a 28-year-old truck driver involved in a fatal U-turn crash on Florida's Turnpike in South Florida. And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that.
Yes, you heard that right. There are people petitioning for this person to get a lesser sentence, even though they completely killed 3 people and it's upsetting that people really, really are protecting people who are committing crimes. It is, I mean, it's just over the top.
It helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day, y'all, twice a day. Now, y'all, you have probably heard by now about Harjinder Singh. He is the Indian national, the person from the country of India who is here in the United States and recently has been working as a truck driver. And just a few weeks ago, he made a fatal mistake where he attempted to do just a sudden illegal U-turn with his huge tractor trailer, leading to a car that was behind him slamming into the trailer and killing 3 people that were inside. This has been a huge story. You've probably heard of it by now. I am predicting that this is the story, that this is the situation that is going to probably permanently change the immigration conversation in this country. See, as of recently, the whole immigration conversation has been criminal aliens versus, hey, this person's been here for 20 years and they're just trying to earn an honest living, right? But see, here with Harjinder Singh, we have a person who is not, when you say criminal alien, this is not the person you're talking about. You're normally talking about a violent criminal who preys on people, who robs, who steals, who violates people, who kills people. So that's who you're talking about when you say criminal alien. But see, this situation with Harjinder Singh is showing that someone doesn't have to be a violent criminal to cause harm and to cause death and chaos, right? A person can be someone who is just trying to do the right thing, but maybe due to customs, maybe due to lack of understanding, maybe due to any of a million different reasons, they can still cause death and destruction, even if by accident. So a lot of people, and I've been looking at people talking about this Harjinder Singh situation, and people will say, well, he murdered those people. Other people will say, it was negligent homicide, whatever the case may be. However you slice it, he's definitely responsible for the 3 people who died. He's responsible for their death. But I don't think anybody would say he was trying to kill somebody, right? He was doing something that was deadly, reckless, and it resulted in death. And I think that is the reason why this situation is likely to change the debate, because the debate had been about law-abiding people versus violent people. Well, Harjinder Singh didn't do anything violent, but he did do something that was extremely reckless that resulted in death. So now, in my opinion, the conversation is not just going to be about, well, who's out here preying on people. It's going to be people who are in the United States who are driving on our roads who can't understand the road signs. They're not violent criminals, maybe, probably, but that's it.
Okay, I know he's trying to, make his way around the mulberry bush. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, it is illegal. Okay. A lot of these people are helped during those CDL tests that I've, been researching. Okay. Somebody sits down and tells them what the question is, but they also tell them the answer. They have translators for these CDL drivers. This is widely admitted, widely known for decades. This has been happening. So we have people all over the country driving these semi trucks that cannot even read the signs of the road. Okay. First of all, tractor trailers are not even small vehicles, are supposed to use those U-turns unless they're safe U-turns. Because I think I was driving somewhere in New Mexico and I was like, oh, I'm on the wrong road. Well, I was actually able to use the median safely, right? Because it was designed for that. This person had a tractor trailer. They are never supposed to do that. anywhere because they can't just move quickly or fastly, and they could kill people that are coming behind them. They're supposed to literally go get off the road and kind of follow around and get back on the other side of the road safely. They cannot just make a U-turn like they're in a small car, because they're not. This person is illiterate on our road, and that is a danger to the American public, period. Jail. That's where I'm at. Prison.
The danger. And you're going to see this conversation filter out into other areas.
And Unc says, yes, he did something violent by not reading the sign. Absolutely. Which clearly said no U-turn. English is fundamental. Right. And these people need to be tested without a translator if they can read, write, and speak English. Because if you can't, you shouldn't be on the road. You're a danger to all of us. But he is more than likely here illegally. And guess what? That's a crime. Crime is crime. I don't care if you steal a stick of gum or if you murder somebody. It is a crime. Now, there are levels of consequence, but it's still a crime. At the end of the day, we need to stop justifying, well, they're here, but they're really not bad. No, they're criminals, okay? Straight up across the board. If you don't want to be a criminal, come here the right way. Just saying.
Of American society. And this person, Harjinder Singh, is going to be the poster child for the danger of a person who's in the country. And I don't know, I don't know if he has permission or not. Okay. I don't know if he has permission or not. But so first, what we're going to do is just take a brief look at exactly what happened and what is the latest with Harjinder Singh. And then we're going to take a look at a petition that has millions of signatures that is really causing people online, on X in particular, a lot of consternation. An online petition with millions of signatures in support of Harjinder Singh. Let's take a look. But before we do, y'all, make sure you take care of your money by investing at least some of it in gold.
License despite failing English and road sign tests. Madison Scarpino is live with this story. Hi, Madison.
Hi, Rich. 28-year-old Harjinder Singh had his first court appearance this morning after that deadly Florida crash. He's facing 3 counts of vehicular homicide, 3 counts of manslaughter, and he has not yet entered a plea of guilty or not guilty. Today's hearing was quick. There was a translator for Singh interpreting everything the judge was saying, and this is why the judge says Singh cannot have bond.
The defendant is an unauthorized alien, a substantial flight risk, and there are no conditions of release that will ensure your appearance at trial.
Now, all this comes after Singh allegedly killed 3 people on a Florida highway earlier this month. Video shows Singh making an illegal U-turn in an 18-wheeler while a minivan crashes into the truck. After the crash, officials say Singh fled back to California, but Thursday, he was extradited back to Florida, and Fox got this exclusive video of his arrival. Singh was escorted by Florida Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, and Governor Ron DeSantis tells Fox Singh is going to face serious justice. Now, questions still remain as to how Singh was issued both a California and a Washington state commercial driver's license, and all of that is under investigation.
So I feel like when something like this happens, you wonder, what are the structural problems that would result? What are the structural problems that would result in this? And you think about who gave him his CDL license, right? If he couldn't read and write English. And also what company hired him and what kind of background check or what kind of checks did they provide? So the company might even be in trouble, it looks like.
Governor DeSantis says the federal government is revoking the business license of the trucking company that hired Singh.
Things can happen in business. This is a guy that didn't understand.
And Black Empower says, isn't that the same guy, who destroyed a bridge in Arkansas by driving his overweight truck over it because height couldn't read the weight restriction sign? I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that to see if he had another incident. I'm not sure. Jamal, thank you so much for reposting the stream. And Spud McKenzie says, whomever helped him obtain that license and that employer needs to be investigated as well. I'm not going to believe that it only began and ended with him. No, like I'm telling you, I listen to Breitbart Radio and there's all different types of how people call in and they say, yeah, I've experienced this. They have translators for them, helping them pass the test at the CDL licensing center. Okay. They have people helping them pass these tests. They know they can't read, write, or speak English. So this is happening actually within the CDL facilities. Like it has to be like rooter tutor, like I'm saying, investigation. Like Dr. C was saying, a forensic audit of all of these institutions giving these people licenses that actually require literacy. Right? You are putting the country at risk. And I say the country because a lot of these drivers, they drive cross state lines. You are putting the public at risk. Oh, yeah, everybody needs to go to prison. Absolutely. Absolutely, people need to go to jail. And thank you so much for reposting the stream.
In English, and you're putting him in charge of this massive vehicle, and obviously the consequences were deadly.
And now, as a result of this, predictably, Singh's situation has resulted in a temporary ban on all people coming to this country for CDL purposes, y'all. So you see what I'm saying? This is like the final straw, because again, Mr. Singh, he's not your criminal alien in the sense of a violent criminal, but he did something that resulted in the loss of life. And it is his fault.
Already here, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is responding to a story that we've been covering extensively, which is the deadly Florida crash allegedly caused by an illegal immigrant who was granted a commercial driver's license in both California and Washington state. Secretary Rubio posted this on X saying, effective immediately, we are pausing all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers. The increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor trailer trucks on U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. So it is state law that dictates whether or not an illegal alien can get a commercial driver's license. But what Secretary of State Marco Rubio is doing here is different. Can you explain that?
Yes, this is, first of all, he's putting Americans' public safety ahead of illegal immigrants or anything else. But he can decide who can get a new visa to come in here and work as a truck driver. So he's pausing that, saying, we're at least pausing it until we could figure out a way to make sure everyone that's doing so can do so safely. Because remember, this person wasn't even able to pass basic driver tests, didn't even speak English. And it seems like that should be a minimal requirement for driving commercial trucking in this country, that you know what the road signs say, know what they mean, and can understand them.
So now there's actually an online petition, people. No joke. Let's just take a look at it and read it and see exactly what it says. It says, we, the undersigned, urge Governor Ron DeSantis and the Florida Board of Executive Clemency to re-examine and reduce the sentence for a 28-year-old truck driver involved in a fatal U-turn crash on Florida's Turnpike in South Florida. This was a tragic accident, not a deliberate act. While accountability matters, the severity of the charges against him does not align with the circumstances of the incident. Key considerations and precedent. No criminal intent or history. The incident was a catastrophe, not a criminal act. The driver has no prior record and fully cooperated with the authorities. Appropriate sentencing. That guy should be given the harshest possible punishment, please. So this is a quote. They're quoting what somebody else said. That guy should be given the harshest possible punishment, please. Relevant precedent. Aguilera Madero's case. In Colorado, a driver, Rogel Aguilera Maderos, initially received a 110-year sentence for a fatal crash resulting in 4 deaths. Following a massive public outcry and a petition that garnered over 5 million signatures, Governor Jared Polis commuted his sentence to 10 years with parole eligibility after 5 years. Judicial acknowledgement of unfairness. In that case, even the sentencing judge admitted that the mandatory minimum sentencing laws compelled him to impose the lengthy term, and that, quote, if I had the discretion, it would not be my sentence. Demonstrated effectiveness of public advocacy. The Aguilera-Medeiros case illustrates how collective voices can catalyze judicial reform. Conclusion: by granting clemency, you would affirm the value of proportional justice, the power of community advocacy, and the potential for rehabilitation. We believe this case is not just about one individual. It speaks to the broader principles of fairness and mercy in the justice system. This is by Collective Punjabi Youth. Now, y'all, first of all, I'm going to say about this petition that I know this is already ruffling people's feathers. It already is. But this is a political situation at this point. Where ideally it would be treated as a, vehicular homicide or manslaughter or whatever the case may be, whatever the appropriate charges are. He's undoubtedly responsible for those people's death. And I think in a typical situation, prison time would be appropriate, right? So I don't think there's any typical situation where he just gets off, right? But this has risen to a political level. As you can see, even the Secretary of State is responding with a ban on people coming to the country. So at this point, this is going to be fought out not only in the court, but also in the court of public opinion and in the court of politics. So I would like for y'all to let me know what you think.
That's crazy. That's insane. Because if it was anybody else, they would be under the jail. Period. And Gibson for governor, says the people allowing this need to be held accountable. They do. They do. They very much do. And thank you so much, Gibson for governor, for reposting the stream. And it's that kind of stuff. I'll put it that way. They are really petitioning for this man to have a lesser sentence. And in Colorado, they were just like, oh yeah, please have mercy. He is responsible for taking the lives of other people. No. Just because it doesn't have malicious intent and it was an accident, he was still in the wrong. How are we going to stop it? Stop it. That life has consequences. Period. The end. Life has consequences, and you need to deal with the consequences and stop coddling this stuff. Because you think it's going to get any better? It's going to get worse. If they lessen that sentence in Colorado and they follow that same model in Florida, you'll be putting the public at risk. And at that point, we just need to shut it down. So it says, Unc says, in this case, all they got to do is have the person to read something in English, right? Read this, the traffic signs in English without letting them know that's what they're going to do, right? And they have checkpoint tests now. And Gibson for governor says, yes, especially USA citizens would have zero help. Absolutely. If this was a U.S. citizen, this would be a slam dunk. You're losing your life, okay? Your license, your life, your house, kids, cars, everything. You are in prison. It would be no stopping. It would be all gas, no brake. You're in jail. Period. Manslaughter, done. Slam dunk. Over it. But we're sitting here juggling back and forth because it's somebody who's foreign to the soil, as if it's okay. None of this is okay. He needs to get the harshest sentence possible. Okay? 3 lives, 150 years. You should never see the light of day again, period. And Jay Smooth says, it's thousands of cases like this. The governor, mayor, and city councilmen, along with different church organizations that are aiding and abetting illegal immigrants in California. They know exactly. Because, see, that was the part that a lot of people might have missed. He fled and went back to California because that's where he got the license. He just happened to be in Florida driving. And so he knew he was wrong, and then they had to bring him back to Florida to suffer consequences. Florida ain't playing with you. Do something wrong there. Do something wrong. They got a telemarketer in another state that defrauded somebody in Florida, and they flew to wherever that person was and brought them back. They ain't playing with you in Florida. They are not playing with you. Period. They will shut it down. And I appreciate that. I really do. I really do appreciate that. You might not like DeSantis. He's not the most polished speaker. He does what he does, right? And a lot of people don't like some of the laws that he's passed. A lot of people do. But he's hard-nosed. He's hard-line. They have the supermajority in the state of Florida. But guess what? More people are moving there. So he's doing something right. Just saying. Just saying. And with that, we're going to end the stream. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. We went a lot over just how illegals are being treated within our justice system. And in my opinion, the scales are extremely unbalanced. We need a legal system that we can actually trust and rely on. And the legal system, in my opinion, within the United States has become a joke. It has become a laughing matter. We now have been able to see behind the curtain at a judicial system that is definitely a caste system. Because, see, if you have enough money to get away with stuff, you don't see jail. And now we're seeing if you have an illegal immigration status, that the legal institutions will protect you even more. And you've already committed a crime because I said you're here illegally. And they are still protecting illegal behavior as if it's okay. And those are the things as a country and as a community we need to say no to. We need to definitely make our voices heard. And Gibson for governor says 100%. Yeah, that's what we got to do. So thank you guys again for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News for this Monday recap. Tomorrow we will have Tell It All Tuesday. So again, thank you so much for joining me. And Mark from the Soil, thank you so much for reposting the stream. So I will see you guys tomorrow. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. I'll see you on the next one.